Hello, and welcome to another stream. Just checking the settings. Hopefully everything is working correctly. And it looks like we should be good. The last stream had some encoding issues, so it was quite laggy actually. I've noticed it quite late. But we didn't lose too much progress in that way, and we will continue on today with more of a polishing phase to the lighting. I have already rendered out the character, and I did a render for the full sequence, for the full shot for the character. And since the last stream, so since Tuesday, I have been testing the different render settings for the set, so I can show you here as well, just the character pass. So it's probably gonna need a bit to load the RAM there, and in the meantime I will go over a bit while this is playing. I can maybe minimize the window here a bit. Let me just see here. So yeah, we can leave him playing like this here, since it's just a character. And here on the right side, now it's not so visible, just because there is quite a lot of information going on in the pure ref. So I've managed to render out the character without too many issues. It's the first render pass, which turned out quite nice without too much flickering and without too many errors. Like there is a few things that will need to be addressed just because of the way that the animation was done. So for example, there is here, when the character starts jumping, there is 1 or 2 frames where the eyeballs are not the bulbs, the eyeballs or the scleras, they jump out of the face. So this part would need to be addressed. And then there is here and there some clipping of the geometry, but these are all minor fixes. I'm going now over the animation frame by frame. And yeah, for example, here you can see that the stick disappears as well, and then it appears back. So these are some of the things that I cannot fix just because it's an alembic, and I don't really want to go into the animation and be fixing these parts, just because it's extra time that that I prefer not to use on the animation part, since I'm already this amount into lighting and almost getting to compositing. And yeah, here just a few more like protrusions. These are just like 1 or 2 frames that can easily be fixed in compositing. And the general character is overall working nice without any flickering or any shading issues compared to what was happening when with the denoiser on. So these things are now just in general working, because I was rendering it without the denoiser and with a higher sample count as well. So this is something that I have been testing these past 2 days. Is just going ahead, and I've screenshotted. Here I can make the pure ref as well a bit bigger, so that you can see over the screen what is what I mean. What was I doing here? Okay, here I'm gonna rescale it a bit. Okay, so something like this. So I have been doing different tests. So this is with the denoiser on, and then these are with the denoiser off. But as I mentioned, the denoiser is giving off flickering in the scene, so I prefer to render out without the denoiser on, and then I'm going to apply on specific layers inside of Fusion denoiser node, depending on the needs for specific layer, which usually will be the specularity, like we can see here, that is going to be that will need some denoising, or the transparent glass here in the back and things like that. So I've done some different tests. For example, this one with these settings was 23 minutes. Then this one, which maybe it's not so different, was 43 seconds, for example. And then just iterating and doing some tweaks in the settings. For example, this one is 350 samples compared to the earlier one with 64 samples, but with the noise threshold the same, and with the overall more bounces and everything. But it took, in the end, in reality, only under 3 minutes to render, which in general is actually better. But there is as well still noise going on overall in the scene. And then we have here a bit less noise on this one. Again, iterating, testing out what's going to work better, and comparing which settings could work better for which. It's always a question which settings are going to work, and which amount of details we can get away with and which amount of noise can get away with to still be fine with in that way. And here we have Okay, 1 second. So here, then afterwards, I did some more tests between the, in some cases I kept the samples the same, but then changing some other settings to see if we can get away with less time, but then with more quality in the final result in the image. And also fixing some issues that I had with the general ACES workflow within Blender, and needed to change more than a few materials, more than a few color space settings for specific textures. And I was reiterating as well my script that I've been building with the help of AI for this exact reason, so that it can scan the whole file and all the textures and put the appropriate color space onto them, and also export or give a list of information of nodes or of textures that are not properly adjusted, that are not in a correct color space, and then, well, if need be, it can be done manually. So I've been mostly in the 2 to 6, 7 minute mark. Here we have one that it was 8 minutes, just because I was again trying out some different settings, and compared to some other ones, it's not actually that noticeable. Like here you can tell that suddenly the scene is looking quite different, that this was happening due to the color space issues, that I needed to adjust some textures. And here you can see 8 minutes, because I had 1024 samples here, and it's less noisy overall, but still we could maybe get away with put a bit more light in the scene, so that we can as well avoid calculation times, and then we can create some contrast in compositing as well in that way. So yeah, for example, this one was again 350 samples. We adjusted the light path, the bounces, the clamping, here as well the glossy filter, and we now have, compared to the first image, we have a lot less noise here, but then these parts are quite noisy. And we have here on the floor, still not working correctly actually, the floor, and still have some noise here, but this is more due to the normal. And now if you can compare, for example, here, these two images, like can see the difference between the floors and between the noise as well. And this one, the dress was wrong as well. It had some shading issues, some normals, like they weren't flipped normals, but they weren't pointing to the right direction. So there was this issue with the normals here that has been fixed, and the floor is now being displayed properly. You can see here the metal wasn't working as it should have, because here it's actually catching more of the reflection from the floor. So this has been adjusted as well, and now the scene, this one was the last test that I did with these settings, and now the floor, the table and the dress are being and the rest of the scene is more or less being displayed properly. The only thing I have left to do, I think, is the curtain, and then I can I want to lower a bit this normal here. Yeah, it's quite strong, like 0.5 maybe. This is going to be just fine, I think, for the scene. And let's lower here the appear ref a bit. And we are going to try to strive for the render times to be something like 2 minutes, maybe. It would be a nice overall result, just because of the length of the frames. That is almost 200 frames. So I would like to keep the set under 2 minutes, if possible. And to be able as well to later on, if need be, need to do some adjusting to the overall scene so that it's just faster overall. So yeah, just in general, for example, maybe we can as well, it depends on your graphics card. Sometimes the tile size can help quite a lot for the render times, because for me, in some cases, the lower render times are due to the size of the tiles that is being rendered. So for example, if I set the render now, I'll make it a little bit bigger. So now I've set it up to be on 512 pixels, so to say, the tile size. So it's going to render bigger chunks. But as you can see here, it's actually showing, and I have increased the sample count for 100. It's actually saying that it's going to render the whole scene in more or less 7 minutes, like the last test render that I did. Like the last one here, even though I've increased the samples by quite a bit, but I have lowered I've increased both of these and lowered a bit the general bounces here. So it's all a manner of tweaking until you find, just in general, what works for each specific scene. Because not every scene is the same, so you always need to do some tests. Depends if there are volumetrics. If not, I mean, in my case, I have volume light, but it's going to be rendered out as well separately. That's why the character was rendered out in, I think, per frame. It took maybe around 30 seconds per frame. So in full HD, that is quite fine for this machine as well. I mean, if I had some other graphics card, it would be probably even faster. But like this, it's quite okay, and it forces you to optimize your settings and your scene as much as possible. So yeah, now that we've lowered the normal intensity, now we're not gonna have these harsh lines on the floor that we had here, because in some parts they were just catching, like here in the shadow, they were catching too much the attention, too much light. So here it's in general more subtle, because they're supposed to be like coating on top. So this will be I think working really, really nice. And here as well, the reflection is looking really nice as well. And maybe just due to the way that the scene will be set up now, maybe as well the nighttime version, or maybe I will do like that. On the last stream, I was just messing around a bit with the lights and with the bright contrasts. I was looking at probably some of you might know these movies. That is Kung Fu Panda and Puss in Boots. They have some interesting night scenarios, and well, this one is for the morning, more for the daytime, and just the general lighting of the interior. And because it's using some of these elements that I have here in the scene as well, that will be nice for use as a reference, and for the materials and for the lighting, and just overall look and feel of the scene. So we might steal maybe this type of color that we have going on here in the back, just adjust just a bit the hue or the color, but we are actually quite similar to this one here, although I still have the lights on that I will need to turn them off just because of the daytime. Prefer to keep them off there. And then for the night scene, play a bit, maybe something like this could be nice with these red tones and with this turquoise green, because the other ones are like the violet, blue, and orangey, yellowish tones are nice. Here as well we have the orange yellow bright light coming from the entrance, and then we have here some fog, turquoise blue fog in the background that could work as well for our scene. Or something punchy like this one, where there is slight hints of orange, but everything saturated with blue. So we'll see for the night scene, because this is what I was playing around with on the last stream. Just some wild color combination, which doesn't have any sense or reason why there is some green or some pink coming from the outside. That's why I called it as well Funky Time. Let's go here. In the meantime, while the render is finishing its its task. I'm gonna set here the thing up for the render. And since I'm using as well the same frame, might as well keep it there. Gonna duplicate here the frame from before, just to make a little comparison here. Okay, let's take a look here. So yeah, here the scene was quite a bit, I wouldn't say washed out, but there was quite a bit of light coming from the top, so it was a bit too much for my liking. I prefer to have this sort of more neutral look of the scene, of the parts that are in the shadow. Just have more light, more focus in here, in this area. And yeah, I will tweak this here a bit, just desaturate a bit the dress. Compared to the image that we had before, this was overblown. I've adjusted the material on this part here, so it's more integrated as well. And yeah, we have now a better looking table than what we had here before. More just looks nicer, I think, in general, with a small bump here. It's giving off a nice shape on the reflection there. And something that I would like to, so let's see here. We're getting more or less the same amount of noise. And here, this part looks like it's being caused almost by a light that is causing some artifacts almost here that I might need to take a look. Why is this happening? The metal is working now as it should be. Here these parts are lit properly. There's quite a few issues with this metal material, just with the shading, with the facing normals, with a bunch of things that weren't getting translated well from one software to another. And well, the geometry in this case didn't help here neither. So this one is, most of the things are now taken care of. I've adjusted the material that is now glass, proper glass material, not just a transparent, just a transparent box. So yeah, it's rendering by still quite a lot. We can stop the render here. Let's keep the tiling lower. I'm actually seeing almost more noise in this case than before. We can try as well turning it off and doing some other things here. But yeah, then like what I wanted to say is there was something here almost looking like it creates some weird shading here on the floor. It is looking quite weird. Like this part is, it is in the shadow, but it's creating in a way quite a bit more noise than what I would be expecting that it will create. And also in another case, just because of the denoiser, it's not visible in the render. So it's actually quite difficult to predict or to know then what is going on there. So sometimes it's better to turn off the denoiser and just to check the regular lighting as such. Okay, we're back. Had to pick a quick phone call. And I've let the render here running in the meantime. So I'm not sure why is it saying that the render is done when it's not done. When in reality it should keep on rendering. So I'm gonna turn for some time off the pure rep so that this side panel here of Blender is visible. while this tries to render a bit, I will try to desaturate this here. It's quite difficult to see what is going on with the denoiser on. It's definitely the case here. Well, if I'm going to do these things, so something just slight slight desaturation and a slightly lower value should help with the overall material. I think that it already looks, or it is looking more integrated into the space. I'm not sure why am I getting this information from Blender. Is it because I'm rendering here at the same time that it's giving me these notifications that would love to hear some from someone more experienced about it, why it's telling me that it's not receiving enough information when I've tried a lot of different settings and it's still proving to, even when I tried using different settings that are supposedly there to help make things faster and easier, and that the recording, that the final stream output should be fine. I'm not exactly sure why it's telling me it's not receiving enough information. I've tried with a high bitrate, with a lower bitrate, with all the bitrate. As I said one time in one stream, I'm still figuring out these live stream hacks and what to use, which settings to use, how to set it up, what not to use. Well, some things are okay and easy to understand, and other ones seem to be almost like the rendering that I'm doing, like a trial and error sort of thing, hit and miss almost. Okay, this took some time. Okay, there we go. Gonna start loading. It's loading quite slow. In general, should go. This one should be actually faster. And the window itself isn't that big. Maybe scaling it down a bit can help. So this is the rim light for the mirror that is outside, but it's light linked to the mirror. So theoretically, if let's say here I pull this one out and just have it in the light setting in the lighting group, and if I turn off this here, so now we have, and let's say we turn off this one, can turn off all the lights, so we have only some sort of light here on the table that is coming from here, and now we can see that the rim light is actually affecting just the mirror itself. can turn off the normalize here. So I would like to get some more lighting coming here, shaping the mirror itself a bit more from this side, just so that we have some more information. When we are looking at here, like in the reference, that we can see here, this light coming down, just so we have a bit more separation here from the background. Could be nice here, so that thing here that we are getting. Something more from the top here. Let's just focus here on this part as well. So I think that generally this should be fine. Maybe even too much compared to the render here, because it's going to hit these parts here, and it might be too much. So maybe we can lower the spread and adjust the rotation here so that it's going more upward. Something in this shape and form, and then we can lower it by half, and then maybe we can keep the light like this. We can put it back into the set lighting. And yeah, in the end, the result is here a bit of light. Maybe we can extend it a bit further so we get here a bit more light. Not too much. Not too much. Still like to get some lighting here on the dress, just a tiny bit here on the lower part. Okay. Something in this way could work. The only thing now that I would like to see here, let's try 0.5, try here lowering the settings by a lot, and I mean by quite a bit, and let's leave these samples as is. And if we try with 32 samples only, I'm gonna save the scene here. Let's go to our can delete this one, scripting tab, go to the render node, we can go to the second slot and just hit render. Can have a sip of a coffee. In the meantime, while we have this render being generated right now, so it's saying 5 minutes, 4 minutes, or less, 3 minutes now that it started to work. So we can focus just here on the render. Okay, so we are having quite a few fireflies, quite a few things going on here. So we need to keep in mind it's just 32 samples. So this will keep the render almost below, I think, 2 minutes, almost. Taking into account I am also streaming with OBS, so it could be actually that is a bit under 2 minutes. So yeah, quite a few fireflies here, quite a few artifacts. Let's try so we can see the difference here. Although I increased a bit the lights here on these ones as well. So now this might be actually too much now here. Let's turn them off. Let's go to the third slot. Let's do another render. Let's see what we are going to get here. So in general, 32 samples aren't just, it's just not going to be enough, I think, to reduce the amount of noise, just because of the amount of materials that I have put that have some sort of low amount of roughness. Just because I like this type of materials, I like to see a bit of reflection, but then that it's blurred a bit just gives the scene a bit more life, or a bit more spice in that way. So I'll find a way to work around it. So it's saying 3 minutes just by adding the noise threshold. Let's see how much it actually reduced the noise there. Compared to the other one. I'm trying here some testing some OBS settings in the meantime. Okay, so now I'm receiving even more errors. Okay, so let's try changing this further. Okay, so this one took 5 minutes to render. We'll still need to do some testing just to get the most out of this scene. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So still not enough information going there. Why? Why is it saying that it's not enough? Mm-hmm. What else here? So mostly, let's try just raising this to 64 samples and just lowering this a tiny bit. Let's see if we can get away. So with these settings here, let's keep it at 1 for now. So slot 1, slot 2, we had these lights turned on, now we turn them off again. Okay. We have more light going there. Yeah. So we definitely had less noise on the first one. But that one took 12 minutes. And this one took 2 minutes with quite low sample count. But we lost quite a bit of information there as well. So let's go to slot 4. This one took 6 minutes. I prefer to have more quality than quicker render times, but like I said, I would like to not render each frame 10 minutes. But if there is no other way there will be no other way to keep the noise count low, and I just might have to render each frame like this for 10 minutes, and that's it. We're gonna render then for a few days, on and off the frames until we have the full sequence rendered, and that's it. No other way around it currently, except we always might find another solution. And as I said, like till a point, I need to test and import this a few frames into Fusion, do a quick denoiser, like a noise removal tool, and use it and see with how much noise I could actually get away here inside of Blender, and then just do the render as is. And yeah, this should do the trick already here. This one was 6 minutes. This one is saying as well 6 minutes more or less. Gonna disregard this one. Want to try here these settings, and let's try like this. Let's try 100 samples. And yeah, I've been using so it's telling me that it's still not receiving enough data. So infuriating that I don't know what else to put here without losing overall quality. Well then, let's try another one here.